My daughter-in-law left my 5-year-old granddaughter at my house one night. My little girl whispered, "Grandma, Mom said not to tell you what I saw at home, but—" What she said made me call the police. The knock on my door came late, too late for a casual visit. She didn't even step inside, just pushed my granddaughter toward me with a brittle smile. "She'll spend the night here. I'll pick her up tomorrow." Then she was gone. I should have felt relief. My house was quiet, safe. But the way my granddaughter clung to me, the way her little fists balled in my sweater, it told me something was wrong. Later, after hot cocoa and bedtime stories, when the house was dark and still, she whispered it. "Grandma, Mom said not to tell you what I saw at home, but—" He was hurting her. 5 words, and everything inside me went still. I remember the first time I met her, my son's new girlfriend. Pretty, polite, practiced smiles. She laughed too easily, but I told myself she was nervous. I wanted to like her. I wanted my son to be happy. And when they married, I welcomed her as my own. I gave her trust. Trust she sharpened into a weapon. At first, the cracks were small. Her sudden coldness, the way she pulled my son away from family gatherings, her sharp tone with my granddaughter when she thought no one heard. I chalked it up to stress, to marriage, to motherhood. Excuses. We all make them. But excuses shattered the night my granddaughter spoke. I didn't cry. Not then, not later. My son had chosen her, but my loyalty was to the child who whispered truth into the dark. The next morning, I moved quietly. No shouting, no accusations. I documented everything. Bruises on my granddaughter's arm that she called accidents. Odd gaps in my daughter-in-law's stories. Receipts for hotel stays she couldn't explain. And then the photographs. A neighbor tipped me off. Men coming and going from the house when my son was away. My daughter-in-law was reckless, thinking no one was watching. But I watched. I kept records, dates, faces. I wasn't gathering evidence for my own sake. I was building a cage she couldn't wriggle out of. Patience is a sharper blade than rage. I called the police after my granddaughter's confession, my voice calm, deliberate. I gave them what I had, enough to open an investigation. I didn't tell my son, not yet. I needed him to hear it from her lips, to see the mask fall. So I waited. Weeks. When the knock came again, this time she stepped inside, acting as though nothing was wrong. My son was behind her, tired, oblivious. I invited them both to sit. I placed the folder on the table between us. Thin at first glance, but heavy with truth. Her smile faltered when she saw the police report. Her hands trembled when the photos slid into the light. Men she thought were shadows now stared back at her in glossy color. And then my granddaughter's words, written in my careful hand, every whisper preserved. Silence stretched. My son looked from me to her, searching her face for denial, for explanation. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "Don't lie. She heard you. She saw you." For the first time, she couldn't perform. Her face collapsed under the weight of exposure. The police came 2 nights later. Child endangerment, abuse, prostitution. She was let out in handcuffs while neighbors watched. She had built her life on control, manipulation, but control slips fast when the truth is dragged into daylight. My son wept. I didn't comfort him. Pain is part of awakening. He had chosen blindness. Reality forced his eyes open. As for my granddaughter, she slept in my arms that night, safe, her small breaths steady against my chest. I confess this now because people mistake silence for weakness. They see a grandmother and assume softness, fragility. But I know the strength of patience, the power of quiet vengeance. I didn't scream. I didn't fight her on her terms. I let her believe she was clever until the trap shut. And when it did, I didn't feel triumph. I felt justice. She thought she could bury the truth under fear. She told my granddaughter not to speak. But children know when something is wrong, and they trust the one who has never failed them, me. My revenge wasn't loud. It was a steady hand guiding the pieces into place until she destroyed herself with her own lies. Now she sits behind bars. My son rebuilds. My granddaughter heals. And me? I sit in my quiet house, tea cooling in my hands, knowing I did what had to be done. Some betrayals are personal, some are unforgivable. This one was both. And justice, when it finally came, was worth every silent, calculated step.